What if one of the largest hidden structures ever discovered was trapped beneath Greenland's ice? In 2024, NASA scientists detected something impossible deep below the frozen surface, a perfectly organized network where no city should exist. What they uncovered led to one of the Cold War's most secretive and controversial projects. In April 2024, a research aircraft flew high above northwestern Greenland. On board were scientists working with NASA's ice mapping program. Their mission seemed straightforward. Using advanced radar systems, they were mapping the landscape buried beneath Greenland's massive ice sheet. For hours, the radar displayed exactly what researchers expected to see: rocky ridges, valleys, ancient geological formations. Nothing unusual. Then something appeared that stopped the team in their tracks. Unlike the chaotic patterns created by nature, this formation was organized. Straight lines stretched across the display. Sharp angles intersected one another. Distinct rectangular shapes emerged from the data. Natural landscapes do not create perfect geometric patterns. At first, the scientists suspected a malfunction. Radar systems can occasionally produce strange artifacts. The team reran the scans. The results remained. The structure was real. Buried beneath more than 100 feet of ice was a network that looked remarkably artificial. The discovery immediately raised a question. What kind of structure could exist beneath one of the most remote and inhospitable places on Earth? To answer that question, the investigation had to travel back more than 60 years. The story begins during the height of the Cold War. In 1959, tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union were escalating rapidly. Both superpowers were searching for strategic advantages. Military planners believed future conflicts would depend on who could hide and deploy nuclear weapons most effectively. One location seemed perfect: Greenland. The island occupied a critical position between North America and Europe. Vast, isolated, and covered by enormous ice sheets, it appeared to offer limitless opportunities for military expansion. Under the direction of the United States Army Corps of Engineers, construction began on a secret Arctic project. Officially, the project was called Camp Century. According to public statements, Camp Century was a scientific research station designed to study Arctic engineering and climate conditions. That explanation was only partially true. Construction crews used massive snow-cutting machines to carve trenches directly into the Greenland ice sheet. Instead of digging traditional tunnels, workers created enormous open cuts in the ice. Steel arches were lowered into place before the trenches were covered again with snow. Once buried, the result was extraordinary. A hidden underground city emerged beneath the Arctic surface. The facility included living quarters, workshops, laboratories, storage facilities, medical areas, power systems, and recreational spaces. There were cafeterias, libraries, and even a chapel. At its peak, hundreds of personnel lived beneath the ice. The environment felt surreal. Residents could walk through warm corridors, while thousands of tons of frozen ice surrounded them in every direction. Outside, temperatures frequently dropped far below freezing, yet inside the tunnels, people ate hot meals, watched movies, and carried out daily routines. To outsiders, Camp Century appeared to be an impressive scientific achievement. But hidden behind the official story was a far more ambitious objective. Military planners envisioned transforming Greenland into something unprecedented. The proposal was known as Project Iceworm. The concept sounded almost unbelievable. Instead of building a single underground base, the Army wanted to construct thousands of miles of tunnels beneath Greenland's ice sheet. These tunnels would contain rail systems capable of moving nuclear missiles throughout an enormous hidden network. The missiles would constantly change position, making them nearly impossible for enemies to locate or target. In theory, it would create one of the largest and most secure nuclear deployment systems ever designed. If war broke out, missiles could emerge from hidden launch points across Greenland and strike targets thousands of miles away. The scale was staggering. Military documents suggested a network stretching more than 2,500 miles beneath the ice. For Cold War strategists, it represented the ultimate advantage. For engineers, it represented a nightmare. There was one problem: the ice itself. When most people imagine glaciers, they picture something permanent and motionless. In reality, glaciers behave more like slow-moving rivers. They flow continuously. The movement is often measured in feet per year rather than miles per hour, but it never stops. As Camp Century expanded, engineers began noticing alarming changes. Tunnel walls slowly shifted inward. Ceilings began to sag. Passageways narrowed. Entire sections required constant maintenance simply to remain operational. Crews spent countless hours cutting away advancing ice. Despite their efforts, the glacier continued, winning. The deeper researchers studied the situation, the clearer the problem became. The ice sheet was crushing the base. What seemed stable on the surface was actually moving relentlessly beneath their feet. Then, an even greater concern emerged. Camp Century contained something extremely unusual: a nuclear reactor. To supply electricity and heat, the Army had installed a portable nuclear power plant, known as PM2A. It was one of the first attempts to operate a nuclear reactor beneath an Arctic glacier. Initially, the system appeared successful, but maintaining a reactor inside a shifting ice sheet proved extraordinarily difficult. As surrounding structures deformed, concerns grew about long-term safety. Engineers realized that if the glacier continued compressing the facility, critical systems could eventually be damaged. The dream of an underground missile network began to collapse. By the early 1960s, military planners accepted reality. Project Iceworm was impossible. The glacier moved too quickly. No amount of engineering could overcome the relentless pressure of the ice. The secret missile network would never be built. Eventually, Camp Century was abandoned, personnel evacuated, equipment was removed. The reactor itself was dismantled and transported away. Then the facility was left behind, or at least most of it was. Large sections of infrastructure remained buried beneath the ice. Steel supports, construction materials, fuel, waste, contaminated water. Everything disappeared beneath decades of snowfall. Military officials believed the site would remain frozen forever. The glacier would continue accumulating snow and bury the evidence deeper each year. The problem would simply vanish. For decades, that assumption appeared correct. The Arctic kept its secret. Few people even knew Camp Century existed. Then the climate began changing. Researchers studying Greenland's ice sheet started observing accelerating melt rates. Data collected throughout the 21st century revealed a disturbing trend. The ice covering Camp Century was no longer guaranteed to remain frozen indefinitely. Climate models suggested that future melting could eventually expose portions of the abandoned base. Suddenly, a forgotten Cold War experiment became a modern environmental concern. Fuel reserves remained trapped within the ice. Chemical pollutants remained frozen underground. Contaminated materials still occupied sections of the site. What had once been hidden permanently might one day return to the surface. the world beneath Greenland's ice was no longer just history. It was becoming a future problem. But Camp Century was not the only mystery hidden within Greenland. In September 2023, scientists detected something even stranger. Around the world, seismometers began recording an unusual signal. Unlike earthquakes, which produce chaotic bursts of energy, this signal was perfectly rhythmic. It pulsed repeatedly, every 92 seconds. The pattern appeared across multiple continents. Researchers checked equipment. They verified readings. The signal remained. Hours passed, then days. The vibration continued. Scientists had never seen anything quite like it. The phenomenon became one of the most unusual seismic mysteries in recent memory. Investigators eventually traced the source back to eastern Greenland. There, hidden within a remote fjord, an enormous section of mountain had collapsed. Years of warming temperatures had weakened the landscape. When the mountain side finally gave way, millions of cubic meters of rock and ice plunged into the water below. The impact generated a colossal tsunami. But Greenland's geography transformed the disaster into something extraordinary. The narrow fjord trapped the wave. Instead of dissipating into the ocean, the water began sloshing back and forth between steep rock walls again and again and again. Each impact transferred energy into the Earth itself. The planet effectively rang like a giant bell. For 9 days. The result was a global vibration detectable by scientific instruments around the world. The discovery shocked researchers. It also revealed something unsettling. As Greenland continues changing, entirely new geological events may emerge. Processes that rarely occurred in the past could become increasingly common. The Arctic is transforming faster than many scientists expected, and hidden beneath its ice remain countless secrets waiting to be uncovered. Some are remnants of military projects. Some are environmental threats. Others may be ancient landscapes untouched for hundreds of thousands of years. NASA's radar flights continue revealing features that no human has seen directly. Buried rivers, lost terrain, frozen valleys, structures from a forgotten chapter of Cold War history. The deeper scientists look beneath Greenland's ice, the more they realize how little we truly understand about what lies below. Because the greatest discovery may not be Camp Century. It may not be Project Iceworm. It may not even be the hidden infrastructure still trapped beneath the glacier. The real mystery is how many other secrets remain buried beneath nearly a mile of ice. And if Greenland is beginning to reveal them now, what happens when the rest finally emerges? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more history mysteries.